Welcome to Myers Metal Detectors, located in sunny Tampa, Florida, where we sell nothing but fun and adventures, treasure hunting gear, and anything you can imagine for metal detecting. Give us a call, 813-237-1939. Happy hunting and dig deeper.
Live from sunny Florida, it's Treasure Talk.
Welcome, folks. Welcome, Joe, Big Poppy. Welcome.
Hey, what's happening?
Hey, welcome to another exciting edition of Treasure Talk, and we got an awesome show lined up for tonight. And as you can see, Jeff is not here tonight. My good buddy Jeff Monin he's down there in the southern Gulf of America. Let's see, can they see that hat or the wrong camera?
There you go.
Southern Gulf of America treasure hunting with his family. And we sure do miss him. So hopefully you'll have a good time there and find plenty of treasures while he's on the beach. I think he's in Naples, and then he'll be heading up this way in a day or two. And I wanted to wish everyone, I don't know if you say Happy Memorial Day or not, but it's a day of remembrance for fallen soldiers. So hopefully everybody remembers that, what this day is for. And I want to welcome all into Treasure Talk. So, Joe, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good. Yeah, we're pleased. Today is Memorial Day, honoring all those men and women that gave their lives to honor our country and our freedom. And I'm excited for sure. It's not all about just cooking and going to the beach. It's remembering all those soldiers that gave their lives.
Yes, the fallen soldiers, absolutely. So, with that said, I guess I better remind folks and do the housekeeping and get rolling on here because we do have an awesome show lined up. Fred is going to be on here, and he's going to be talking about sapphire hunting. And, oh, what happened there? Did I hit a button?
No, everything's good.
Okay. Because I saw all these emojis popped up on the screen. So don't hit a button. I got to remember that. Jeff always does.
Tie your hands together.
Yes, don't hit nothing. So as always, folks, today's show is brought to you by your friends here at Myers Metal Detectors. And if you're lucky enough to come in on Saturday, you'll see Joe, and he'll show you fun and adventure because that's what we're all about. And, of course, the views, thoughts, and opinions expressed here by the Treasure Talk guest and member belong solely to the guest and member and not necessarily to Phil Myers, Jocelyn Myers, Myers Metal Detectors, or Joe Vizzi.
Absolutely.
And, of course, the purpose of Treasure Talk is to promote the hobby of metal detecting and treasure hunting in all forms. And we're going to do one of those forms today. We're going to talk about.
Becker said to tell you Memorial Day is not a happy day.
It's not a happy day. Tom Becker said it's not a happy day. It's not a happy day. It's a day of remembrance for sure. Absolutely, Tom. Thank you for reminding us. And I guess I was back to what Treasure Talk is all about. It's about promoting the hobby of metal detecting and treasure hunting in all forms. And that's what we're going to do today with Fred Banke. We're going to talk about, of course, we can talk about all the many books he's written on the Treasure Coast, but today we're talking about sapphire hunting out west. So, did I miss anything, Joe?
No.
I thought you froze up there, buddy.
No, I'm just listening to you and
Listen
excited to have Fred on the show.
Yeah, you're listening.
That we have Terry Shannon in the chat as well. So, hey, Terry.
I got to pull up the comments so I can see that stuff. Yeah, it looks like the crowd's starting to grow, so that's awesome. And Dig in Florida with Bill Gross says, my uncle Bill, Korean War, 1950. Yeah, that's he's a Gold Star family, I guess then. All righty. Well, are we ready to bring on our guest?
Absolutely. Bring him on.
Okay, let's bring on Fred. Get him on the stage.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Fred. We're
Hey,
glad
guys.
you're here today, and we're going to talk some treasure hunting, aren't we?
We're going to talk treasure hunting without the metal detectors today.
That sounds more like work, when you're not swinging the detector. So did you do a lot of digging?
I did a lot of digging. I tell you a story about the digging after the first video. I can tell you a story about digging because I did a lot of it.
Okay. All righty. So do you want us to roll the video? Why don't you first tell us where you're at, what you were doing there?
Okay, so um, I I was on my trip last summer, and I wanted to take pictures for my latest book, the Nez Perce Trail. I had the book mainly written, but I wanted to get a bunch of pictures of the battlefields and places the Nez Perce stayed. And during that trip, I went down through Yellowstone, and then from there, I wanted to go up and do some sapphire mining. And the sapphire mining, I stopped in two places. The first one was Phillipsburg, and the second one, where I spent 2.5 days, was Helena, Montana, and it was just fantastic time. It just made the whole trip. I got to meet the owner and become friends with the owner, and the first half day I was there just processing, learning how to process the sapphires, and then I had made arrangements to go back and uh, meet with the owner and go up into the mountains to a different mine that they call the Mother Lode, the El Dorado mine, and it was just a fantastic experience. It really was.
Awesome. So you want me to put the video on right now, Fred?
Yeah, go ahead and put the video on. There's two videos. One of them was everything up in Montana, and then the second they're just short videos. And the second one is I brought bags of pay dirt, which is gravel, back with me, and just just last week I processed a few days ago I processed a bag of that and found some really nice emeralds amongst that, but it actually demonstrates how you clean it and process it and get the emeralds to come to the surface and stuff, so it's easy picking.
Okay, cool.
But
I,
yeah, I'll explain a lot more after the videos.
okay, well, we're going to go ahead and add it to the stage and run it. So here we go.
One of the highlights of my trip last summer was to go sapphire mining in Montana. I spent a total of 2.5 days at the Spokane Bar Sapphire Mine, and the first half day was spent purchasing bags of pay material and learning how to process it. On the second day, I had made arrangements to meet up with the Gem King, Mr. Russ Thompson, and he's the owner of the Spokane Bar and the El Dorado Bar Sapphire Mines. So we traveled up to the El Dorado Bar Sapphire Mine so that I could process my own pay dirt. The El Dorado Sapphire Mine is also known as the Mother Lode, and this is where all of the biggest and the best sapphires come from. Here I'm digging my own pay dirt, and you always want to dig from the bottom of the pile. Once the buckets are full, you're going to take them over to the screed machine and use a rocking motion, which is going to force the material through the various screeds, getting it to the correct size. Here you can see the two different size mesh that's used for sorting the correct size gravel and removing the fine dust underneath. You can see that I'm separating some of the large rocks. Once the smaller gravel has passed through the large mesh, the larger rocks are discarded to one side. But you always want to check for gold nuggets, because the week before I got there, somebody did find a 1 ounce nugget. So now the large screen can be removed, revealing the correct size gravel for your pay dirt or pay gravel. Once you have the correct size material, the smaller sieve can be removed and the contents poured into buckets to be taken to the truck. You can see the pile of fine material underneath the sieve, and I would love to have the chance to pan that for the gold content that could be in it. While you're processing more material, the Gem King, Mr. Ross, he's bagging your material and getting it into the truck, ready to transport it back to the Spokane Bar mine. Back at the Spokane Bar, you can now process all of the materials that you've collected. The actual processing of the material is done in the 2 bathtubs, and then it is carefully placed on the tabletops where you can pick out the sapphires. This shows the dry material in a special sieve. This is very fine sieve so that any dirt will be washed off of the gravel and into the tank. If the process is done correctly, the sapphires will be in the center of the sieve and on top of the gravel. This shows a close-up of 2 of the sapphires. This shows one of the larger sapphires and a close-up of that one. Tweezers are provided for picking out the smaller sapphires. Russ showed me a neat trick, and it's putting a penny at the edge of the sieve, and after you've processed it correctly, the penny should be on top and in the center of the gravel. This shows of some of my non-gem quality sapphires that I collected. And this shows my gem quality sapphires.
Okay, Fred, shall we run the second one or?
Yeah,
Let them get some people in the chat. If you have any questions on those, Fred is willing to answer any questions you may have.
and I saw a comment from Sam Truckley. Yeah, I'd really like to pan that fine material, that dust that goes through the sieves, because there's going to be some gold in there.
Now, I think you said that someone found a 1 ounce nugget the week before.
Yeah, while you're processing the rocks and stuff, you got to look for nuggets in there, because people
So my question.
people are finding gold nuggets, small ones and stuff, right in that processed material.
Now, are they metal detecting it after they're done looking for the sapphires?
Well, one of the things they've got a big gold sluice in another area. So
Oh,
what I'm thinking they do is they just scoop up all that material in piles and run it through the gold sluice afterwards.
right. And then that would find it for sure.
Yeah, that
Okay.
would find it for sure.
And before I run the next video, Ricky T is asking, what kind of sapphires?
Well, there's various different color sapphires, and you can get just about any color sapphire there. Everybody's looking for the really nice blue ones, and one of the things they do to the sapphires is they heat treat them, and then you can get them faceted and cut. But the heat treating brings out the better color, the better color, and it helps get rid of any inclusions and stuff like that that's in the sapphire.
Okay. And we got it. Fred, what's the biggest sapphire you found?
The biggest one is this one right here.
All right, that's cool. So should we run the second video then?
We got a question here from Digging Florida with Bill Gross. He's asking, what's the cost of doing something like that, Fred?
Okay, so there's 2 things you can do. You can just go there and buy the bags of pay dirt, and they've got different values. Some of them from the Mother Lode, some of them from the Spokane Bar Sapphire Mine. The Mother Lode is the El Dorado, and that's a little bit more expensive. So I mean, you can spend, I think it's like $60 a bag, and it goes up from there. But it's worth it, because with every bag you find sapphires in there, and I saw a couple dig in there, and They got one of the cheaper bags, and they got a beautiful blue sapphire out of one of the cheaper bags, and that came from the Spokane buyer.
Okay. All right. So shall we run the other video before we get some more
Sapphire mine.
questions?
Now, that dirt and processing it, digging the dirt and processing and bringing it down. There was four of us up there digging at the same time. So there's this really big guy, and they call him. I can't remember the nickname now, but it's Bigfoot, and he was a big hairy giant guy, and he was digging, and then there was a couple from Arizona there, and the couple from Arizona, they were trying to do everything wrong, and Mr. Russ, the owner, was getting a little bit peeved at them, but I actually dug 8 bags of pay dirt, and I dug 8 bags of pay dirt in the same time that the two people dug 5 bags of pay dirt there. So I look pretty good for an old guy digging.
There you go. Should we run that other video?
Yeah, let's run the other video.
Here we go.
I ran out of time processing pay dirt up in Montana, so I brought a bag of pay dirt back with me to Florida, and I couldn't have picked a more beautiful morning to start processing the material. This is my first batch of pay material, and you never want to go more than half full, which is halfway up the side of the sieve. Here I'm demonstrating the washing process, and you're using a seesaw motion in both directions, forming a ridge, and then just slightly shaking it, and the sapphires weigh more than the rocks, and they will go to the bottom. They will sink to the bottom and end up in the center of the sieve. Once you've processed your material, you're going to place foam on the sieve, and then you're going to carefully flip over the sieve and remove the sieve, leaving the material on the table. The sapphires weigh more than the stones, so they should be on top and in the center of the rocks, the stones. Whoa, look at this one here. You carefully go through the rest of the material to make sure you haven't missed anything. And this is the result of my processing of the material. 3 beautiful gem quality sapphires. This is the largest sapphire sitting on a dime, just for comparison, and it's a pretty good size sapphire. These are examples of some of the various different color sapphires, and possibly what mine could look like once they've been heat treated and cut and faceted. These are 2 beautiful star sapphires. They were given to me by Russ as a parting gift.
Beautiful.
I'd like to personally thank the part-time mountain man, full-time gemologist, geologist, paleontologist, Gem King #1, and my new friend, Mr. Russ Thompson, for making this such a fantastic trip and a wonderful experience. If you'd like more information on the Spokane Bar Sapphire Mine, they can be reached at www.sapphiremine.com, or you can call them at 877-BIG-GEMS, or you could just contact me and I can give you their information. So this is Fred Banke. Until my next wonderful adventure, stay safe, people.
All righty. That was an awesome video. So I had some questions too, Fred, but
Yeah, go ahead.
I know they're stacking up in the screen. Jocelyn was just telling me. And I do have my mic on, don't I?
Yes, we do.
Okay, okay, cool. Why did you want to get you said you wanted to get the bottom of the pile. Why the bottom of the pile? You were digging from the bottom.
Well, number one, that's the way Mr. Russ likes it.
Oh,
But
okay.
but all the actual sapphires, they're like gold. They weigh more, and they'll run right down to the bottom there. So he told all of us to dig to the bottom, dig from the bottom of the pile, and it stops like a landslide too from coming down and making a mess. Main thing
Oh,
is it keeps the area clean and
oh,
stuff.
okay. Well,
But
if they're heavy, that makes a lot of sense.
so
They're-
that's the whole key when you're processing them. That when you put them in that screed and you rock that screed back and forth, it pushes them to the center. Then you rotate it 90 degrees, and you do the same thing. And you're shaking it and flattening it out, and you're almost getting the water to hold up the rocks, allowing the sapphires to sink to the bottom, so that when you flip it over, then the sapphires will be on top.
okay. And Fred, how long did you do it there? Were you
I
all
was
day?
Yeah, I was there. I was there 2.5 days.
Okay. So all day long, like 8 hours? Are they
Yeah,
open?
the first day I was only there a few hours, and that's when I just went through the learning process. The second day, I met Russ, and he let us. We took our own vehicles up to the El Dorado Sapphire Mine, which is 23 miles away, but it's all mainly mountain roads getting up there.
Oh,
So, but it was really neat, a neat place. And there's several sapphire mines up there. And then after that, I stopped and had lunch. After I did my 8 bags, stopped and had lunch. Allowed Russ to get back to the sapphire, the other sapphire mine, and then spent the rest of the afternoon um, processing and just for a few hours. And then the next day I went back, and I still had 1 bag to bring back with me.
all righty. Well, it looks like we got a question from Dirt Clod Metal Detecting. Is this a place where anyone can go to mine for sapphires? Which
Anybody can go as long as you got enough money in your pocket.
and what did you say the day was to do that?
Well, you actually pay by the bag of
Oh, by the
material.
back.
You pay,
Okay.
so what you do is you pay by the bag of material. So it's like $60 for a bag, and a bag. What they recommend you do is it takes you an hour or so to go through a bag, maybe a bit longer, because what you do is you wash all of the gravel, you flip it over, you pick out the sapphires, and then you take that gravel and you wash it again. I didn't have time to do that. I only washed my gravel one time and picked out the sapphires, but they always tell you to go back and do it again and get the ones you miss. Now, one of the really neat things that they do there is they have underprivileged children come in, and what they do is they scoop up all of the gravel, because you just tip it off the table, scrape it off the table onto the ground, and then they'll come back and they'll clean all the ground up, every other day or so. And then they save that for the kids. And then they'll actually put sapphires in that. And then they allow the kids to do it for free and everything there. And it's just a great experience for the kids. So I felt good, just scraping it off and giving some to the kids.
Okay, cool. Well, Joe, you can jump in there anytime you
Yeah,
want, buddy.
that's a extremely interesting process. Are you planning on making any jewels out of those?
I want to do something with them, so I want to get them heat treated or learn how to do it myself, and then to bring out the color. Then I've got to find somebody to do the faceting and make them into gems,
Cutting
and then
them?
yeah, cutting them, and then I'd like to do something with them. Yeah,
Yeah, they're beautiful. They'll
yeah.
come out really nice. That's for sure.
Now we had somebody who probably didn't see it. They asked a question about your biggest one that you found in there. You got that
Yeah.
handy? You can show that again.
Yeah, sure. Let me get the tweezers here.
And as far as spotting them, they look like almost on the screen here. They look kind of like glass. Is that correct?
Yeah, they do. So, some of them are a little darker than the others, and because there's different colors there too. So this one would be like a peach or orange color, yellowish color one. That large one I held up there.
Okay.
It looks clearer now, but once you heat treat it, it brings a color
Yeah,
uh,
exactly.
to the
Yeah,
stone.
and it gets rid of any inclusions and stuff like that. That's actually in the in the sapphires. Now, there's a comment on there. If the sapphire weighs more than the rocks, can you use a sluice to find them? Yes, you can, because they use the at the sapphire mine there at the El Dorado. They have that sluice, and they of course they get the gold, but they also run the gravel through there to get sapphires as well.
Did they tell you how much gold they get by looking for sapphires?
They didn't know, but I'm going gold prospecting this trip. I'm going to sapphire mines again and do some sapphire mining, and I'm going to do some gold prospecting. And they're gonna put me in touch with some good spots to find the gold. And hopefully I'm going to do some metal detecting. And I actually have a dredge, but I won't be able to take that with me. I've got a 3-inch dredge that I've never used that somebody gave me, but I think I'll take that one up to Georgia and try that out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think here in Tampa, there's the club is up there. Florida. I gotta pull the card down, but they do that. They go on trips to Georgia. It's the Diggers, Florida Gold Scouts, and they take the dredges and stuff up in Georgia and do that. And
Yeah.
of course, they'll take their metal detecting gear too. So, that would be fun to do. Absolutely. So you're gonna write a book on the sapphires and gold prospecting too?
I might do that too.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
So Fred, you drive from Sebastian straight to those areas. How long does it take you to drive over there?
Well, last year I drove from here to Kemmer, Wyoming, and that's where I did the fossil hunting for the fish. So that
Okay.
took so that it's that took me 2.5 days, and that's on probably the close to the west side of Wyoming there. So I mean that's 2,300 miles or something. I can't remember now. It,
That's
it was
far.
it was quite a haul. And then from there I went to Joseph, Oregon, and then followed the Nez Perce Trail through Idaho, Yellowstone, up into Montana, and across Montana to Canada. But I did 10,906 miles on that trip last year.
And how
You
long
saw a lot of beautiful countryside too.
Beautiful countryside, Yellowstone, everything. Camped out on the Missouri River at one of the Lewis and Clark campsites where they spent where they camped out on the Missouri River.
That's cool.
So how many weeks were you gone doing that, Fred?
I was gone. I was gone 6 weeks because I was taking pictures along the way and everything, but I also do my metal detecting up at Fort Buford in North Dakota, and that's
Okay.
where Terry Shannon comes over and meets me over there, and we just have a blast metal detecting bullets and all kinds of buttons and different things like that.
That's cool. Now, when you were out there doing this, did you have to worry about wildlife?
Um, the the one guy came with me, a real good friend of mine, came with me to camp and go up the river because I took a inflatable boat with me, and we're going up the Missouri River to an island to get pictures of this island where the Indians crossed and fought some of the army. But so we camped out along the river, and he was kind of worried about bears there, grizzly bears.
Yeah.
So we, it was beautiful driving in there because I saw I saw bald eagles and stuff like that. And it was just gorgeous. And the first picture in the first video was that's where we actually camped by the Missouri River. That's the Missouri River there. But we didn't run into. Worst thing we ever saw was a badger. I mean, that's
Okay.
nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I watch a lot of videos on YouTube of tourists in Yellowstone almost getting killed by bison. You
They
know, they do stupid things, get up close to them and try to do selfies. So I'm always worried about it. Animals, and bears would be one that I'd be worried about.
Well, there's a saying, stupid should be painful.
yeah, exactly. I agree with you.
And anybody that goes close to a buffalo, a bison, a wild one like that, you never know what they're going to do.
All right, looks like we got another question up here. This was from James Habovic. Fred, do you prefer to hunt the beach or dirt?
Depends what I'm looking for. If I'm going after, Indian relics, Indian war relics, and dirt, but I love beach hunting.
Yeah. Well, you live in, you're in Sebastian, right?
I'm just north of Sebastian, yeah.
Okay. So we know you like to beach hunt for sure, for Spanish treasure.
Yeah, I live on the intercoastal, and if I cross the intercoastal, it's 2.5 miles across to Bonsteel Park, which is Half Riel Beach.
Yeah, that's where I hunted years ago after Hurricane Gene was Bonsteel. That used to be called Chuck Steakhouse Beach, didn't it?
Yeah, Chuck Steakhouse. Yeah, Chuck Steakhouse is just north of Bonsteel there, and now it's a turtle center.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, the beach is over there. And of course, I was holding up Fred's book. He's got several other books, but these are two of the most popular ones here in the shop, aren't they, Joe?
Yeah, we saw a lot of the real deal.
Yeah.
It's the real deal.
It is. And I like them because it shows the parking areas and pictures of everything. Pictures make the book, Fred. I have to tell you that.
They really do. Special colored pictures.
Yes, for sure.
This is my latest book here, and that's the Nez Perce Trail, and it's all about the Indians going up. I think I've talked about it on the show before about the Indians getting kicked off the reservation and fighting the military for about 5 months and 1,170 miles traveling. And some of them made it up to Canada to join Sitting Bull, but it's a tragic story, but it was so interesting.
Yeah, no, Fred, when you were out there at the fort site hunting Indian War artifacts, is that private property where you're at?
Okay, so the fort is maybe the actual fort area. It used to be the fort reservation is 1 mile by 1 mile square. Now the original fort was fairly large. So what they've got is the state of North Dakota has a historic site there, which is the fort, and it's only about 40 acres or something like that. So all of the land around is owned by farmers, and we get permission from the farmers to metal detect. There's three farmers that own property around the fort, and out of the three, I've got permission from two of them to metal detect their property.
Okay, that's cool. Because I would, here in Florida, you really can't go on public land and look for any Indian artifacts. I was just wondering if you find any Indian artifacts on that property out there, arrowheads, that kind of thing.
I haven't found any arrowheads. I find bullets that the Indians, because the Sitting Bull was there attacking the fort and harassing the troops. So he would come in there and we were able to map out where the Indians were from where the soldiers were at the fort. So we know where the Indians were attacking from their cartridges and the bullets that the soldiers were firing, and then we know where the soldiers were from the incoming bullets and all the cartridges they were dropping. And I've got exploded cannonballs down by where the Indians were. I've got primers, friction primers, and a Borman fuse from where they were firing the cannon from.
Okay. Well, I guess it makes sense. You're metal detecting, and you're not going to dig an arrowhead metal detecting unless it's an accidental find.
Well, they did have metal arrowheads too.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I know one guy that did find one. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's interesting.
yeah.
And what was it shaped like? Was it shaped like an arrow?
It was a lot longer and narrow and pointed than a stone one. I can show you right here. This is one I found on my property right here.
Okay. That's awesome. For sure.
That's neat.
So I guess we got away from the sapphires. Let's go back to that. So how many bags did you do on your second day?
So I did 5 bags on my second day.
Okay.
And I brought 1 bag home with me, but I did buy I did buy some bags from another mine. I went to Phillipsburg first, and I left the Indian battle site and traveled over to Phillipsburg, and I took a shortcut through the mountains because that's the GPS told me to do that. And going to Phillipsburg, there was no road. It was a dirt trail, and I don't have no clue why my GPS on my Jeep told me to take that route, because there was nothing there. It was 140 miles from Big Hole all the way around on the highway, which you can do 80 miles an hour to get to Phillipsburg, and it took me longer just at 5 to 8 miles an hour on this trail, just getting to Phillipsburg. And the shock on the faces of the people when I came down this little mountain, it turned into a little mountain road, and people were saying, "Where the heck did this guy come from?" Because
It was a treasure hunting adventure, wasn't it?
it was. So I stopped in Phillipsburg, and I went out to a mine, and I bought some pay dirt there, and I only had time to process one bag while I was there, and that was a learning process, and it wasn't as good, nowhere near as good as the one the Spokane Bar, and the El Dorado. They had their stuff trucked in and to their site and stuff, but it was a learning curve. And I've still got a couple of bags I've got to process of their pay dirt, so we'll see. I may have more sapphires to show you.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. So have you ever done like the diamond mines?
I have not. No, that's one of my bucket list items to go to the in Arkansas there to the diamond mine there. But
So-
yeah, I'd like to do the rubies and stuff too, and do the rubies, stuff like that. And I'm looking forward to doing the gold prospecting, because I joined the Gold Prospectors of America, that club, and they've got properties all over. And I want to go to some of them, like in Idaho and Montana, where nobody gets to, and they're out of the way. And I've looked at them on maps, and they're just miles out of the way, so they won't be as panned out and stuff like that.
Right. And are you going to take some bear mace?
I got some.
Bear spray? Oh, okay.
I got bear spray.
I think I have probably buckets of bear spray.
Yeah.
Phil, you're quite
I'm
nervous.
bear phobic. Let me just say that.
All you got to do is strap on a 10 millimeter, and you'll be fine. They're not going to mess with you.
I don't want to kill any animals, but I just, spray them with the
Came
mace.
old.
Well, I was up there with Marcus, my buddy, when we went to the camping on the Missouri River, and I wasn't too worried about it because I can run faster than him.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But the bear
Leave
can
them
run
behind.
faster. The bear can run faster than both of you.
There you go.
But I know here in Florida, we just had first ever on recording death of a human to a black bear. I guess it was down.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, that was down. I think somewhere west or east of Naples, and I guess that's around the Everglades or
Oh,
some. Yeah, so a man and his dog were killed by a black bear, which is very unusual.
but they're having a black bear hunting season this year.
Yes, I think that's already passed, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe
It
there's
could
been.
be. Yeah.
That won't be till November. Is November, October, November is when that would be passed, but I don't think it's statewide.
Oh, it's different areas. Yeah,
Yeah, I know it is over here. They're going to do some over here. So
yeah,
it's like alligator hunting, and you got to get it's a lottery to get the tag.
Yeah.
yeah. I was just reading. Florida Metal Detecting says the diamond mine in Arkansas is huge, but well worth going. So at the Sapphire mines, Jocelyn just put that up for me. They charge by the bag. Then how many bags you purchase?
Yeah.
That's
And the really cool thing is to go and dig your own. I mean, it's so much more satisfying and better just to go and dig your own, fill your own bags, and fill your buckets, and then Russ puts them in a bag for you. And there's a line on the bucket where you can fill it, but those bags are bigger than the ones they sell. So to me, it's so much better just to go and say, okay, I just didn't process some material. I went and dug my own dirt and did my own mining and stuff.
right. And you processed most of it there, but brought some home for you then.
Yep, I sure did.
Yeah, and your view there, doing where you were doing it at home was very nice too. In the morning view.
Oh yeah, that's my dock sitting out there, and
Yeah, that's
yeah.
awesome.
See what I post.
It looks like Derek Sherwin says we don't have bears, but we have cows. Cows can be nasty. Well, maybe cow spray. I don't know.
There you go.
Yeah. We're dressed like one, Phil. Put on your black and white outfit.
Yeah, it looked like. So with the sapphires, you're going to get some of them put into jewelry then?
Yeah, I will do that. Yeah, yeah.
Because I think it would be cool to show the finished product. Because we look at a stone and I guess they're not stones; they're crystals, aren't they? What's a sapphire? What do they call that? It's
I
made of.
think I think it's a stone. Yeah.
Yeah, I watch some shows in Australia. They have, or no, that's opals. But
Opals, they have, yeah.
yeah, that's kind of cool how they're digging for those. But it looked like a lot of work because they're going pretty darn deep. And yours with that, the sapphire mine, you just have to dig it from the bottom of the pile. Then that
Yeah,
must,
yeah. They'll push piles of it. They'll dig and push piles of it. Now there's a really famous sapphire mine just north of Helena there, and I think it's called the Yoga or something, Yoga mine, and that's where they get some beautiful blue sapphires. And they used to allow, I wanted to go there, and they used to allow you to go there and pay to play. That's what they call it, paying to play. So I wanted to go there and pay to play, but the owner of the mine, I guess, another reason to dig from the bottom of the pile and stuff, he got covered and he died. He was digging into the side of a hill there, and it caved in on him, and he died. And his son's taking it over now, and hopefully they're going to open it up again to the public, because I'd sure like to go to that mine too. They're just beautiful dark blue sapphires.
interesting. Well, it looks like Sam Truckley says usually a pay dirt bag, they seeded it to guarantee you'll find an amount of gold or gems.
But this one they don't seed it. I've seen them. I went to the one mine where they truck it in with a dump truck, and then they shovel it and put it in bags. and there's no seeding going on. And if you go dig your own, there's no seeding going on either. It's just, yeah, they're not seeding these. I know they do that with the gold to guarantee, you get a certain amount of gold in each bag and stuff like that, because I've ordered some of those bags of pay dirt.
Mhm.
But these aren't seeded.
Yes, just reading on here. No, I missed it. I think Ricky T said that he wouldn't trust a bag that's already filled. He'd want to fill his own bags. So that makes sense for sure. Yeah, Sam wouldn't trust any already filled bags.
Well, I mean, when I first went there, I bought some already filled bags and stuff, and I mean, it's hit and miss what you're finding. You might find some really small ones. You might find one big one in there. You never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, it's
Kind of
very
like
interesting.
it's kind of
Uh,
like Forrest Gump.
Yeah, Forrest Gump, a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
okay, Chad. They have I think it's Big Dig, Florida here, where they do the same thing. You pay by the day, and they look for Indian artifacts.
Yeah, it's arrowheads, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
So,
has anybody done that? Because I'd like to go do that someday too.
yes, I think some of the guys in the club have done that before and found some stuff. And it's the same thing. It's hit or miss. If
Yeah.
they're in a good area where there's been a lot of activity, you'll find a lot. And of course, they leased a property for someone, and they bring in big, I guess they're like sluices or shakers, and you can pay to have them shake it for you, or you could do it yourself. It's interesting.
Yeah, this was like a shaker that I was using, and you're pushing it back and forwards, and it's forcing the material through the different wire mesh.
Right.
Because
Yeah, it looks so. What you were using in the video too looks similar to what we used when we were digging for artifacts years ago in downtown Tampa, which was Fort Brooke, and we would use sifters like that, but we had them on a rocker. We used conduit to make it so we could rock it back and forth and look for artifacts and just look for stuff that was man-made.
yeah,
Anything square or round. Your eyes have to develop a sense for that.
yeah,
It was kind of interesting doing that.
yeah. It's like looking for shark's teeth. You got to develop an eye for that.
Absolutely. And Ricky T says fossil hunting too. So it sounded like you really enjoyed digging the fossils. I mean the sapphires.
I had such a great time digging the sapphires. I'm going to go back for sure, and maybe bring a couple of bags home with me again and stuff, because I like just taking my time here and doing it too.
Yeah. Now, what is the value of those stones like that?
I don't know. Ask me after I get them cut and colored and cut and done, because I really don't know. I think some of them can be worth $1,000 or more. Depending on the size. It all depends on the size and the quality, and you know uh, they what's really nice is when you're done, you take them into the office, and there's a lady in there that will put them on a lighted piece of glass, and she looks through them and she sprays them with like Windex, and because they show up much better when they're wet. And what she does is then she goes through them, and she puts the ones aside that are gem quality, and then she puts the other ones aside that are just sapphires. They've got a lot of fractures in them and inclusions in them. That's why they're rejects and stuff.
Okay. But if they were higher quality or gem quality, do they want to buy them or?
They not really, because they got so many themselves. I mean,
Oh, okay.
and they've got that sluice and everything too to get them and stuff. So I don't think they'd want to buy them unless it was exceptionally large or something like that, or it was like the perfect gemstone.
They'd buy them if they were already processed, right, Fred?
If they what?
If you already had them processed,
Oh, yeah.
cut and have the color come through and everything, then you
Yeah.
can sell them.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to getting them cut, getting a few of them cut and heat treated. I think you got to take them up to like a couple thousand degrees in an oven and it's a really slow process because the longer you leave them in there, the better the color, and you got to let it cool down real slow and everything too. So it's quite. I was reading a bit about it, and it's quite a process to do. I'm
Yeah,
sure I'll screw something up doing it.
yeah, I think I'd let the professionals do that, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That way you keep the stone in good quality for sure. It's like cleaning coins. We don't want to be cleaning any coins. It's the same thing. And I'm
Yeah.
reading on here in Oregon, there's an area where you can find sunstones. I don't know what a sunstone is, so I do know what a sapphire is, and they're pretty stones for sure. So when's the next book coming out, Fred?
I'm actually I've got one that's about half done, and this is I've got the Northern Plains Indian Boars book, and this is a follow up to that one.
Oh,
And
okay.
so I've got that one in the pipeline right now to do, and but my next one I want to do is going to be on the 1715 fleet.
Oh, okay.
So that I think that one will be a pretty neat one to have.
And what is that one going to entail? What are you doing with it?
It's actually more about one of the ships that was in the fleet, and it's a ship called the Hampton Court, and it was owned by the British. It was captured by the French, and then sold to Spain, and it was used on one of the 1715. It was used as like the flagship for the 1715 fleet.
Okay.
And in England, they keep excellent records of their ships and how they built them and everything. And I've actually got a book on how they built the sister ship to the Hampton Court, and I can use a lot of that information. So I want to, cover it, how it was built, and where it was sold, and where it wrecked here on the Treasure Coast too.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. Has already been found then?
It supposedly has been found, but now the 1715 Fleet Society the archaeologist has came up with another theory that is actually was found. It was actually a little bit south of the Rio Mar wreck, so it's supposedly it washed ashore pretty much in one piece.
Okay, 6 minutes.
Okay.
The whole
Interesting.
ship washed ashore, Fred?
Yeah, the ship was washed ashore. So there's a lot of theories about it and stuff like that, and I'm just going to cover a couple of the theories in my book.
Okay,
Oh,
interesting.
that's very
You're going to have some pictures then of the other. Is the other ship, the sister ship, still around?
No, that was no. What they used to do is one of the most of course the cargo was valuable, but these were British warships, but the cannons were valuable, and you can. And I've actually got pictures in my book, my first book. There's a picture of a cannon from a town called Lyme Regis in Dorset, and that was a cannon from the Lennox, which is a sister ship from the Hampton Court. But what they would do, they would burn the ship and reuse all of the hardware, because the hardware was expensive at the time. It was all ironwork
Right.
and iron nails and stuff like that. This was after they had the bronze.
Interesting. So the whole ship washed ashore theoretically.
The whole ship washed ashore, and that's why they haven't found much of it.
Yeah. And I can't imagine if a ship came in ashore like that, they'd have fun getting it if it washed ashore, getting it back out.
Well,
wouldn't it?
they wouldn't have got it back out because you're talking, 40, 50-foot waves pushing that thing right up on the beach. So I don't think they would have got that back out because they didn't have anything that would tow it
Would-
out there or
Would
anything,
throw it out, right, or dig it out. You
dig
could
it out or anything like that. So they'd probably dismantle it But it's supposed to be the Rio Mar wreck, but there's a reef where it would have broken up right in front of the Rio Mar golf course there. But they think it was the Sandy Point wreck because there's not a reef there, and it's a big sandy bar going out there, and it could have washed in. And there's a lot of theories going on and stuff. So it's discussion going on right now.
Yeah, and it looks like Sam Truckley said that hour went fast. Well, it's not done yet. So if you still have questions, we got a few more minutes here left, I believe. So if you got some questions, get them in the comments and we'll ask them real quick. But yeah, that's interesting on the theories on it. You know, if there's a reef there, could it got blown over the reef without getting it trashing the ship? You know, there's a lot of different things. You see what happens here after a hurricane. You got a boat. Now, boats are a lot smaller than a ship, but boats, you know, half a mile inland or quarter mile inland, you wonder how did that boat get there?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's just the nature of wind and water moving stuff. So that's why a lot of times people find stuff, and Jocelyn keeps holding fingers up for me. 3 minutes, 3 minutes. She must be anxious to go get something to eat tonight. But it's funny how stuff can be found on the intercoastal waterway, like where you're at.
Yeah.
That could have come off of a shipwreck for sure. And
Yeah.
then
There was a shipwreck that came over the came over the barrier island there, just south of the McClarty Museum in an area called Spanish Harbor.
okay, well, Jocelyn didn't put this question up, but
It's
some
right there.
somebody's asking if I can put it up. What's the ship behind you, Fred?
That's the HMS Prince, the English galleon.
Okay, English galleon. Yeah. How many people would be on one of these ships?
Oh, a few hundred, yeah.
Hey,
This-
this is Tim Naylor's question.
Yeah, and I see that Tim Naylor asked a question. When is Fred going to be back as a guest speaker at the club?
Anytime you want.
Oh, that's a good answer, Fred, for sure. We appreciate you coming over to do that.
Definitely, you and Terry, when you guys come over, are the talk of the meeting. That's for sure.
Yeah.
We have fun doing it. Terry and I both love doing it.
Yeah.
Did you that ship that you have behind you there, Fred?
Yeah.
Did you make that, or you just bought it already?
No, I bought it. It's really neat. Yeah, I think it's like made in the Philippines, but it's almost like a museum quality, and so much detail on there. And they ship it in a big crate, and I had to go to the train station to pick it up because they put it on a train from Houston to West Palm Beach.
Oh, interesting.
Living at West Palm Beach, I had to go and pick it up there at the train station.
That's cool. Well, Fred, I want to thank you for being on here and talking Sapphires and 1715 fleet and all your many treasure adventures. And thanks for coming to the club, too. That was just a reminder, somebody asking that, Tim Naylor. But we appreciate you for sure. And I wanted to say thank you to Jocelyn, to Joe, and to Fred, and to all of our many members on here tonight for another exciting edition of Treasure Talk.
And not to interrupt you,
Go
Phil,
ahead.
but Jeff Monin he sent me a text. Fred, he's excited that you're going to be coming over to the beach. And he asked me when you were coming over. I said you were going to leave early on Wednesday. So we'll see all you guys Wednesday for sure.
Yep, I'll see you guys at the shop Wednesday, and then we'll drive down there. But thank you, everybody, and hope you got a good education on sapphire mining.
Absolutely. We appreciate you, Fred. Thank
All
you.
right. All righty, folks, we'll see you next week. And I believe Jeff will be back next week. So happy hunting and dig deeper. If you have any metal detecting questions, just give me a call at the shop tomorrow. I'll be here tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday for sure. Or come see us. Happy hunting and dig deeper. And if Phil doesn't have it, you don't need it.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'll do a little enthusiasm like Jeff does.
Yes, like he does. He gets real excited about it for sure. If you look behind me, you see it's all there. So we've got it in stock. Happy hunting and dig deeper, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a blessed one, everyone.
And I think I ended it.